And Mr. Walker, you are free to stand at council table, but if you have mobility issues, you're also welcome to sit if you'd like. And Mr. Walker, the first thing that I'd like to address with you before we begin addressing your cases, which are actually two, we have case 24CR40, which is a case scheduled today for arraignment, and case 24CR07049, which is a case that's scheduled for an arraignment on a show cause. Before we do those things, I need to address with you, it appears to me that you have a recording device on your shirt, the light's flashing. I just need to advise you that you're not allowed to have recording devices in the courtroom. Are you aware of that?
I turned in a sorry, let me give you the exact label. Notice to the court regarding filming rights.
So I have seen that document, Mr. Sherrill, and I believe you filed it on August 26, 2024. It's labeled Notice to the Court regarding filming rights under the First Amendment, 14th Amendment, 10th Amendment, and Article 6, Supremacy Clause. I have had a chance to review that document, Mr. Walker. What I will advise you is that the court does allow the press to record court proceedings in some instances, but if you want to do that, you actually need to comply with the Oregon Uniform Trial Court Rule 3.170, and you need to submit a request prior to the hearing, and then the court will rule on that request. That wasn't done in the case. The document that you submitted is a notice to the court regarding your rights. It's not a request. So at this point, what I'm going to do is go ahead and order you to turn off your recording device. So I need you to do that for me at this time.
So it's not my First Amendment right that's inalienable under the Supremacy Clause. So any state law is subservient to the First Amendment freedom of press, right?
So, Mr. Walker, I'm not going to argue with you. This is my courtroom, and I'm ordering you to turn it off. And I'm advising you that if you don't turn it off, you will be held in contempt.
Okay.
He said because I didn't ask for permission that I didn't get to. And so then he threatened me. So now I'm pressing charges on him. On this new judge. Different judge. Now I got charges on both of them.
He's committing fucking official misconduct by signing the warrant, or for taking the charges, because it's a First Amendment protected activity. Without question, you can film the cops. You're allowed to talk to the cops. Talking to the cops is not interference. Interference is a physical act.
Certainly.
Period.
Okay, we've got these four documents lined up.
Yeah, you would think that all the money that these aircraft companies make on military contracts, they could sell passenger and cargo planes to corporations for like next to nothing. You would think that, right? I mean, you would think that. Well, you know what?
They can't give 0-point technology to the common person. It's a club, dude. Getting a jet, they meet you, and bro, when you try and buy a turbine, a jet engine, then you're going to have to go through like checks, bro. You're going to have to like go and ask them. It's like buying the most exclusive fucking Armani / Rolex, where it's like you have to get certified to be able to own it, type of a, you know?
Right. Yeah, well, that's bullshit, and it's unconstitutional.
Well, no. That's a private business. So that has nothing to do with it.
You think? You think that the government doesn't have a hand in that?
The Constitution has nothing to do with what a private business is practiced with. You're going to agree to do business with them or not. It's your choice.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're absolutely right.
And so with the government, though, you have protections because you don't have a choice. So that's why we joined. So 13 colonies turned into 50. Because, like, weren't they all willfully taking part? I think they are. until the Civil War, and that's an interesting thing. It's a problem in our history, but
Yeah,
it
is.
doesn't change the facts today. You know, it's
No.
You know, it's just like Terry v. Ohio doesn't change the facts.
Right. The facts are
The law
if
is you need a warrant.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really matters. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is anymore. No, I mean, it shouldn't. I mean, surely at higher levels and probably at the highest and the lowest levels, it matters.
Well,
but,
what they do
with
now is they in theory, they discriminate against everyone. In truth, they discriminate against real Americans, not the socialist. And
right, of course.
And it doesn't really matter if you're a import. You're still considered the chattel and the subservient, the servant, the slave to the socialist because they have these delusions of grandeur, right? We're telling a story about the court, my most recent court appearance. I had a motion to show cause why my bail shouldn't be revoked, which is totally like fucking guilty until proven innocent. Like, I gotta prove why I shouldn't have my bail revoked. Anyways,
Jesus Christ. Yeah, these people are fucking out of hand, bro.
that's starting at the beginning of my videos, where every time these guys commit a crime, I've been logging all this shit and filing it and getting refused equal protection under the law by the sheriff or by the chief of police or by the
Right.
DA.
Which is, it's a 242. It's a 1983
It's a
242.
conspiracy. They all took oaths to uphold and defend the laws of the United States. And I'm over here saying laws of the United States, laws under your jurisdiction. So state law for you, state law for you, state law here. And then federally, I've only filed one federal complaint against these guys, and that was for what happened at the Social Security office. They put their hands on me. And that's what pissed them off, dude. Within days, they filed this charge on me for something 6 months old that I've already attempted to file charges on the officers for with the DA himself.
Well, you can prove all this, right? Let's get started, man.
Of course. Bro, these same people that kill children on the street over there at Planned Parenthood and protect that organization are
they're the same ones that, yep.
They're the same ones sitting there saying, huh, what if a 5-year-old saw you saying fuck the police? What if a 5-year-old saw that? Wouldn't that send a bad message?
Yeah,
it
but it's
send
okay
the
for
right
them
message, and it's protected under freedom of speech. But these people,
Right, but yeah,
anything
they
you
want to
say
expose
that's
them.
true is a crime. Just like I
Yep.
arrested this guy, that's a crime because it's true. I did arrest him. He was creating a disturbance on my neighborhood. I did write a criminal report for him. I tried to file it with the state trooper that was on scene. He refused, right? You know, I'm the type of person that they want to get out of there. That's what it is with me. First off, I was filming. He stopped me from filming by threatening me. And I turned it off. But I got him on record threatening me now. That's both judges in this jurisdiction have committed crimes against me on my First Amendment. And they disrupted my business. My business is freedom of press. Disruption of business. So that's a federal crime. First Amendment.
The truth on tracks, nigga, simple and plain.
Let's make that dog. I kiss that frog when I get that dog. Smooching, kissing, doggy frog. When I tend to get the dog.
I guess
What do you what?
I changed. Yeah, I changed.
Yeah.
Every song into dog songs. It's a law in my house. I have jurisdiction, dude, over my house to make laws.
Of course.
And one of the laws that I made is that nothing but dog songs. You can only do dog songs. So that means you gotta pay homage. You gotta it's either gotta be about kissing up, smooching, hugging, cuddling, smooching, getting, kissing, loving. You could pick any of those. They're all covered under the 16th Amendment, constitutional rights. They're all covered.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
I guess to America, I'm a disaster.
All right. So that was Salvio talking to us from the past.
Yeah, well, from the past to now, I would say the difference is that now you're going to have to be able to defend your actions. It's not about a physical situation. It's that you're going to need to make coherent points, and you're going to have to like establish it with documentation, documents, paperwork. Bro, this is the new world. In some ways it's good because then you can, if you have a point to make, put it in writing. If your whole point is how you're a free man on the land and stuff, I don't feel like you're going to get anywhere, but maybe you'll never get anywhere with these people. So currently I'm being charged with, I guess, a total of 3 crimes, 2 of them at once, and then one later for a different incident. Cop block on my channel. So they said the cop had a lawful right to do what he was wanting to do, whatever he wants. Obviously, he determines
not without
reasonable.
A warrant.
No,
not
well,
without
that's
a warrant.
What they
He
believe.
doesn't.
They believe that he does anything that's reasonable, and that he can do whatever the hell he wants, and that if you say anything in disregard of his absolute authority, then that you're guilty of interfering with the police.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's covered by the First Amendment. I'm pretty sure that can't be a crime because all you're doing is expressing and redressing, and we have the right to do that because he is, in fact, a finger on the hand of local government, this pig that's charging you with that. Did you touch him? No. Did you talk to him? Yes. Did you verbally arrest him? Yes. Is that interference? It cannot be interference. Can't be interference.
Well, let me tell you, it could be if he had police powers. If he had police powers, well, no. Even then, it's just speech. But still, what I'm saying is that there are variations that could possibly amount to crimes. But as far as me using speech, asking him to leave because he's creating a disturbance, asking to report to be a complainant on a criminal complaint, and then being refused, and then I said, okay, I'll go ahead and do a private person's arrest instead then. You know, because they're not going to honor their oath, you know, no matter how
that's not what they do.
cool they want to act.
That's not what they're known
for. The one
for.
thing they're not going to do is I mean, you know, you can make it clear to them what their oath is, but as soon as it's going to take away from their comfortability in any way, dude, that oath is out the window. So we've got some documents about it. So the last thing, you know, check with the previous videos for the different motions and stuff. And now these motions, they really can't be argued with or anything. That's how our law is set up, so that you're just going to cite your law and you're going to say, now, here's my conduct maybe, and here's this law. And since my conduct doesn't match the law, a violation, right? And then you also have a right to face your accuser. So they're always like, oh, it's the state versus you. Okay, I want to face my accuser. Oh, okay, it's officer this guy here. Oh, the state, huh? So, guys, what is the state? Do people understand that the state is an idea? It's an idea. People think it's
a theory,
immutable fact, or this law of the universe that there's a state or something like that. No, it's just this concept that we've got, the state. Okay, and so if they want to bring charges on you, then what are they going to need? A person. for you to face. You're going to confront your accuser. Why are you going to confront them? Well, because you're going to make sure of things like damages, your part in it. I'm going to ask you what you did. I'm going to ask you if you precipitated the events. I'm going to ask you what your conduct in the past has been. Things like if you've taken part in any wars against the American people. How exactly is a cop going to get over this concept of like taking part in a war against your own people? But make no mistake, troll channels love my channel and they love sharing my videos. Good, keep it up. But still, the people that end up at my channel say the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. I had this Canadian telling me about how socialized healthcare is so great. I'm just like, dude, I've personally been charged $800 for Neosporin, and I took myself into the ER and stuff like that. So I literally just got some Neosporin, and it was like $800 or $1,200. I don't know what they.
Yeah, when
I'm not
it
paying
was probably
you guys because it's ridiculous. But
yeah. The amount of Neosporin is the same probably as would come in one of those little packets of Neosporin.
Certainly, in a first aid
right?
kit.
And they charge you $800 for that. Get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
If that's not socialism, I don't know what is, man.
Well, no. what that is the socialized effect on the healthcare situation, where you have to go to these certain people to get Neosporin put on. And that's the point, is that now in order for whatever your insurance or your healthcare or your whatever your situation is, they always like getting these ties into you so that they can bind you to like taking part in some gibberish usually. And essentially that's what socialized healthcare is where people like me were like, hey, $100 for a Neosporin? First off, I can't pay you. I work for a fucking living. I'm busy taking care of all the socialists. So now you want $800 on top of it, and what you did for me is what? It's just like, so people would refuse to pay. And so then the government made laws about it, saying hospitals can't refuse service. Well, here's the problem with that, is that if they can't refuse service, then that means someone needs to pay the bill. So this is a socialist scheme where it's
it is. Yeah.
You have a health condition that's immediate or something, emergency, then you can't be refused. And but see, that's what they tell the public. Oh, that's good for us. That means we can't be refused. No, that's bad for us, because now the free market has no effect on anything, because they'll just say it's $1,200 to admit you for an hour or whatever, and then you're going to have to just agree with them, or else you can just refuse and go die down the street or whatever. But the thing is, that socialized guaranteed dollar is all they care about, right? And so that's why all this socialized stuff, just like education, where it doesn't help a damn thing. It's like, bro, no adults know what laws are.
Right.
People are citing case precedent. People are citing policies. People are citing state laws that directly violate federal rights, such as this. All of them, man. All these checkpoints in all these courthouses. These are violations of rights. And now you're going to go through a violation of your rights and then somehow end up invoking your rights and making it work. Bro, it's an uphill battle, certainly. But the truth is still the truth. Do they have a right to search or seize you without a warrant?
Not without a warrant. They don't.
They can do it if it's reasonable. But who determines reasonable? Some entry-level employee? Or is it an elected official?
It's an elected official.
Sworn statement. And what is that sworn statement? It's not just a sworn statement that the earth is hot today, or it's of a crime. So a victim. So are you just pretending that there's a crime, or are you an injured victim and you're going to state your damages? Because without that, we don't have a criminal complaint. And look, man, I'll tell ChatGPT to write me a criminal complaint, and it'll throw that in. Like, here's my damages. Because it knows. Bro, why do you think ChatGPT works for me so well? It's because I don't go in and be like, no, ChatGPT, the law is a fucking policy written by some judge. Okay, so that's what you guys usually do. Bro, I had this guy at my channel like, ChatGPT doesn't tell me that I can't be seized without a warrant. Yeah, because you're begging it to tell you otherwise. Tell it what the law is, you know? Like, bro, sometimes it'll be like, oh, well, reasonable, unless it's reasonable, or was there probable cause? And then everyone tries to pretend that cops can create probable cause or determine probable cause.
Yeah,
but there's a reason they don't have law degrees. It's because they don't need them, because they don't make any choices. It's called the separation of powers. Go ahead.
Yep. Well, I was just going to say, man, you know, most of these cops are barely even qualified to dress themselves and tie their fucking shoes in the morning. Let's keep it real, man. They can't do anything else. So that's why they take these jobs where they don't have to do anything except grab people and put handcuffs on them and basically do whatever they want, because they can't do anything useful in society. You know, so yeah, we're not going to let you make any decisions, man. You just do what the law says to do. But they can't even manage doing that.
Well, they don't need to even do that. What they need to do is just follow what the warrant says. Okay?
Right.
And then if they're going to have some sort of legal knowledge, it needs to be about figuring out if that warrant is legal. Okay? Because there's case precedent, there's the law, and it says we need to have, based on an oath or affirmation, that this man committed an actual real crime, an oath. So the man's swearing that there's a crime, indicating what? That he's the victim of it. Because, guys, think about this. You could walk by a movie production and not know it, and there's these fighters fighting each other, and you not understand it. Maybe you're from, I was just watching Crocodile Dundee, so maybe you're that guy living in the Aboriginal wilderness, and now you come by and you see these people fighting, and then you go and report the crime for it. Okay, does that make sense? No, because you don't know what the fuck is going on. You have no idea. You're not the injured party. You're just some guy sharing his thoughts about he noticed something. Maybe it's a thing that matters. Maybe it's nothing. We have no idea, because there's not a person that's like, yeah, this guy attacked me and I, had to go to the hospital, or my character was impugned, or, whatever the damages are.
Yeah, let's, state the crime, state the damages, become a complainant. If there's no complainant, there can be no fucking warrant.
Yeah, but they do it all the time. They'll issue warrants based on,
of course,
quite literally nothing.
Or based on lies from people that are, paid informants.
Yeah, these people are swearing. Okay, so I just went to court the other day. Let's get into this. So, I had to go to court to show cause why I shouldn't go to jail. Okay? For violating the law. Now, what is that? That's obviously guilty until proven innocent, right? It's just right off the top of your head, it's just like, what? I have to go and prove why I shouldn't go to jail. What? Anyways,
what do you even talk? Yeah, what the fuck are you even talking about, man? Like that? That's crazy North Korea shit.
Yeah,
man. Really, the only thing they're not doing, but they do it, is grabbing everybody and just throwing them in jail. Like, just walk in and throw everybody in jail, no matter what. These people are fucking insane, dude. They're insane. So that situation is just intolerable, and these people just, they're despicable. They're despicable.
Okay.
That was the interference or obstruction or whatever they were talking about, right?
Yeah, I'll try and explain it as succinctly as we can. We're going to get through all these documents. Do you see my screen share?
Yeah, it's up, man. It's up.
Okay. This is a filming in court notice filed here with the corporate government versus, right? It says State of Oregon versus me. Okay, so here's the problem with this is if I want to face my accuser, who is it?
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
They're saying right there who my accuser is. Okay, so I'm listing both these cases. I think maybe that's the original. And then this is the new one that they attached on, and they said it's a violation of court release to commit a crime. Which, guys, you know they're doing something hokey when they have to not... as opposed to just charging me with this crime, they're charging me with violating a court whatever agreement not to commit a crime. It's such a weird way to go about it. Anyways, I filed this in both these cases. Okay, this is a notice to the court regarding filming rights under the First Amendment, 14th Amendment, 10th Amendment, and Article 6 Supremacy Clause. To the honorable court.
It's kind of a stretch, ain't it?
They haven't shown themselves to be honorable. They've shown themselves, and that's why I'm reading this. Comes now, me, defendant, allegedly, appearing pro se, notified this honorable court of the following: the First Amendment rights. Under the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, the defendant asserts the right to film proceedings as an exercise of freedom of the press. This right is fundamental and protected under federal law. 14th Amendment rights. 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution provides that no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or pursuit of property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. These protections ensure that the defendant's First Amendment rights are upheld at the state level. Okay, so freedom of press is the First Amendment, and that means that under the 14th Amendment, that no Congress shall make a law abridging that. And then there's the 10th Amendment. Restriction on state laws. The 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution reserves to the states all powers not delegated to the federal government, nor prohibited by it to the states. However, this does not permit states to enact laws, policies, ordinances, or court orders that violate federally protected rights, such as those guaranteed by the First and 14th Amendment. Why is court orders in quotations? It's because these have questionable at best, what is
legitimacy?
A court
They're not
order?
legitimate.
Legitimacy,
yeah,
exactly.
Right. Yeah. A court order. Right. Yeah. What is that? Court orders you to pick up your dog shit when you go to the park.
Right.
Right.
So
shit like that.
The court orders you to give up your documents. Oh, well, I have a right not to give up my documents.
Right. It's called the Fifth Amendment. Yeah.
And Fourth. Both, certainly.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. They are circular. Those two are circular. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you don't want to provide information that's going to be used against you, regardless of whether there's a warrant or not. That's Fifth Amendment.
Yeah. Never talk to the police or the judge if you don't have to. Never.
So, court orders are not listed right here in the Supremacy Clause. Okay, so I'm bound to the things listed here. Supremacy Clause, right. Article 6. That's the U.S. Constitution. It's Section 2, guys. Section 1 is small, though. You'll find it. Pursuant to Article 6 of the United States Constitution, the Supremacy Clause mandates that federal law takes precedence over state laws. Therefore, the rights guaranteed under the First, 14th, and 10th Amendment are binding upon this court and must be upheld. Okay, so they can't make the law because no Congress can do that. States have a restriction on their laws because they can't encroach the jurisdiction of federal law, like the First Amendment, freedom of press. And then the Supremacy Clause itself binds the court and it must be upheld. There's quite literally no other option. Previous deprivation of rights. The defendant asserts that this court has already deprived the defendant of the right to film proceedings, specifically on July 10, 24, in this court, Judge Hung prohibited the defendant from filming in violation of the First and 14th Amendment. This notice serves to rectify that violation and to assert the defendant's intention to exercise the protected right to film moving forward. Requested relief. The defendant respectfully requests that all signs violating the law under Article 6, or at least not in violation of the Article 6 Supremacy Clause, be removed from all public property throughout Malheur County. Furthermore, the defendant requests explicit acknowledgement and affirmation of the right to film all court proceedings and interactions with public officials related to this case, including but not limited to the signs on the doors to courtroom 1. Okay, so let me explain this. In court, they deny me this right. Okay? Just the other day on the 27th, 2 days ago, Tuesday, 1 o'clock.
So they proved true and committed more crimes against you.
Right. Okay.
Beyond the obvious thing of them dragging your ass in there for no reason, and then what went on with that? Yeah, it's bullshit, man.
Without a complainant that's injured, without a yeah, certainly. Okay. So they never provided any of this stuff. Obviously, these people are not in the business of serving the public. Even though that's, their job and everything, they're not going to do it.
They're not into that, man. Yeah, like you say, they're just not into it.
Yeah. All right, so
Jesus Christ, like it's a lifestyle choice or something.
This here is why this new judge, I don't even remember his name. It's on the paper over there, but anyways, this
Sound
is
like a
why
squarehead name.
This is why he refused me. Okay? This non-negotiable assertion of rights. This notice serves to inform the court that the defendant will be exercising the aforementioned rights. This is not a request for permission, but a declaration of the defendant's intention to exercise rights protected by the highest law of the land. The court is bound to uphold these constitutional protections. That's a fact, as defined under Article 6 of the Supremacy Clause.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely a fact. And they can't stand it. They hate it.
Oh,
they cannot stand it, man.
The only thing they hate is our laws and our rights. It makes them sick. It makes them sick. God, they fucking hate us so bad.
They really have to.
Potential remedy. Well, the thing is, every day that they wake up, they are realizing that they wake up in a bed that I paid for. And that when they watch their kids eat cereal, it's because I bought their kids cereal. And as they leave their house, they realize that they didn't build any houses. But there are men out there building houses. And these men just exist to steal from them, from the real Americans.
Right. Yeah. That's what they can't stand. You're right, man. It's all about them hating themselves, probably more than they hate us. So they just get in this circle.
It's got to be us, because otherwise it's them. And so, yeah, it's this denial reaction.
It's like a systematized narcissistic psychopathic outlook on the world, man. Everything is everybody else's fault. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to everybody else.
Right.
That's not part of the club. That's a psychopath, man. That's psycho shit.
It requires that. And people are like, you're not a lawyer or whatever, right? Yeah, because guess what you have to take part in? This type of stuff.
Yeah, crimes. Crimes against humanity.
Bro, when the judge starts throwing a tantrum and claiming that he owns the courtroom, right? This man's over here claiming ownership of public property. And guess what? Does this man even contribute to the bills on this public property? No. He pays taxes. Yeah, with my money, which he took for defrauding me. He doesn't honor his oath. I tell him the First Amendment is freedom of press, and he says, well, you didn't ask the court. That's what his point was. You have to ask it under judicial rule this or that. Bro, that shit doesn't even apply to me.
Right, exactly. That's policy, and that applies to employees only.
Certainly not me. I have a First Amendment right to freedom of press. So, potential remedies. The defendant will consider any violation of these rights in any instance of disorderly conduct under Oregon law, specifically for violating the defendant's lawful business and creating a public threat or alarm by threatening the defendant with contempt of court without any complainant in the original case, nor the contempt accusation being valid under Article 6. Such actions will be seen as a 14th Amendment violation and a breach of both local and federal laws. The defendant will press criminal charges in response to such violations. This man, after receiving this notice, went ahead and did that.
Of course he did. Why would he not? He's got, you've got him by the nuts before he even sees you. He knows what he's doing is wrong. He's in on it with the cops.
Well, and that's what it comes down to, is that he's on their side. That's why my book's titled Treason, not, they need a warrant. You know, they do need a warrant, right? And that's a pretty fundamental point. But the thing is, like, it's called treason because the problem isn't warrants or not. It's that they're our enemies and they hate us and they've gone to war with us and they don't care about us, our rights, or how we feel about anything that they do.
Nope.
So the judge, so this is the second judge, and I believe there's only a total of 2 judges. That's what the state police officer said. Who knows? He agreed with me on law, so maybe he knows something. That would be both judges in this jurisdiction have committed a crime against me. Disorderly conduct is disrupting my lawful business. Okay, my business was to film. All right. I mean, there's lots of reasons to film. ADA, it's that you want a record of it for yourself, right? If you request it from the socialists, they're going to try and charge you so that they can sit around and fabricate crimes against people. And now I don't want to pay these people anything because that's giving aid and comfort to the enemy.
Of course it is.
And
it's
I don't want to be accused of treason myself.
Yep.
So I have to file criminal charges on both these judges with the state and with the federal government. Okay? So that needs to happen immediately. The defendant expects full compliance with the United States Constitution. Weird that I should even have to say that, huh? The man has only got one edict from the Constitution, and that's to be bound to the laws of the United States, and he wants to go by something else. So, we're just talking about the blind leading the blind in every circumstance. See, and that's what being a lawyer is. It's that when you start telling a judge that his fantasy crap is nonsense and that you want charges on everybody, it's that you're going to get disbarred and all your time and effort went for nothing. So that's why I didn't even pursue it at all. I got out immediately. I went to sociology, which is more crime.
Yep.
Okay, so that's that one.
Oh my God. All these fucking high-paying jobs are nothing but they're crimes. They're crimes against humanity, man.
They really are. And people will talk about these people like they're good. Like, Johnny's doing good. He's a prosecutor. So he's going around taking part in wars against the American people and just like, geez, man. Okay.
That makes him good, huh?
Yeah, that makes him good. And guys, what is it that makes a person good or bad? These government coupons. If they get lots of them, that means they're doing good. Because guess what you get with lots of government coupons? Whatever you want.
Lots of stupid shit that you're never going to use and you don't really
need. Tons of
need.
wives that you can divorce and give some money to.
Cock ornaments.
Tons of people will be hanging off you to show up and be your friend and be at court with you and all sorts of stuff, as long as you're, stealing from somebody and spreading it around. Sure. But as soon as you don't do the stealing part, then you'll notice that the support dries up. All right. Yeah. So now this is the new case from the video titled Cop Block in my videos, where I said, are these people free to go? This one here is being detained. Do you have a warrant to seize this man? Yeah, you need to go away. Do Do you have a warrant to seize this man? Step over there. I'm going to arrest you. Do you have a warrant or what? I want a warrant, you know? And he just stumbled through it and pretended like he doesn't have to, you know, why wouldn't he admit? He's claiming he has a right. So then why wouldn't he admit that he doesn't have a warrant? He says he's got a right. Well, if that's true, then it doesn't matter if you've got a warrant, does it? You say you got a right. I kept asking him for a warrant.
No, cops don't have rights. They have duties.
Yeah, they don't have rights with us. We're not the government. So.
Yeah.
Me, motion to dismiss with prejudice, citing multiple violations of my constitutional rights under both the U.S. Constitution and Oregon law. These violations have not only compromised the integrity of this case, but have also escalated the matter to a level involving potential felony misconduct by state officials. Background: on July 16th, which these guys in court said it was the 17th. Kind of weird that they don't know what day it happened on, don't you think?
Right. I mean, it's easily provable because
Every
you got it on.
document
You got
should
it
have
recorded.
the same date. So what's going on here? Why do they have a different date? It's very strange. Just before noon. Now, YouTube says that I uploaded this video on the 16th, so it can't possibly be on the 17th.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so an incident occurred in front of my residence involving officers from the Ontario Police Department and an officer from the Oregon State Police. During this encounter, the officers, without proper legal authority, seized a man in front of my house, used emergency lights without cause, and repeatedly refused to identify themselves, all of which constitute significant legal violations. Despite my efforts to report these crimes as an injured complainant, I was instead charged with interfering with a peace officer, a charge that lacks legal foundation and is, in fact, a retaliatory act against my lawful attempts to seek redress for grievances. Argument: violation of Fourth Amendment rights. The Fourth Amendment protects individuals against unreasonable searches and seizures, which requires a warrant based on probable cause. In this case, the officers did not produce a warrant, and thus had no legal right to seize the man in front of my house. My attempt to hold them accountable was met with unlawful threats and retaliation. This entire scenario demonstrates a gross violation of the Fourth Amendment. Corpus delicti and lack of probable cause. The principle of corpus delicti requires that a crime must be proven to have occurred before a person can be convicted of committing that crime. Here, there is no injured complainant, no evidence of damages, and no probable cause established by a judge, which are all necessary components under the law. This further invalidates the charges brought against me. Misuse of emergency lights, ORS 820.320. The first officer from the Ontario Police Department improperly used emergency lights, creating an unwarranted alarm and blocking both tenants' driveways. ORS 820.320 prohibits the misuse of emergency lights, which should only be used during actual emergencies. There was no such emergency, making this a violation of state law and contributing to the overall disturbance caused by the officers. Failure to identify. The Ontario Police Department officers, including the one using emergency lights, failed to identify themselves as required by Oregon state and department policies. This refusal to provide identification is indicative of misconduct, particularly when the officers are involved in actions that may be legally questionable. The policy mandates that law enforcement officers identify themselves when requested, which did not occur in this instance, and also giving orders. You give orders. You explain what your authority is, which I was already asking for a warrant, you know. So I was already asking for what authority you were acting under, and they couldn't provide it. So official misconduct, ORS 162.415. A public servant commits the crime of official misconduct in the first degree if they knowingly perform an unauthorized exercise in official duties or fail to perform a duty imposed by law. The officers involved in this case, by refusing to take my report and retaliating against me, have violated the statute, escalating the situation to potentially felony-level crimes. Supremacy Clause and judicial obligations. of the U.S. Constitution establishes that federal law takes precedent over state laws. Judges are bound by this clause to uphold the Constitution and federal laws over state laws, case precedents, or policies that may contradict federally protected rights. The actions taken by the officers in the subsequent charges against me infringe upon my federally protected rights, making the state's actions unlawful. Right?
Yep.
I have a right to speak.
Illegal. They've committed crimes. Yeah, they've
certainly
committed crimes against you multiple
Oh, I
times.
was a complainant, and now they're charging me with a crime. Bro, this is felony conspiracy for sure. 10th Amendment restriction on state laws. So even if the 10th Amendment has a state law under it, those laws are restricted. So restrict states from enacting laws that infringe upon federally protected rights. This limitation ensures that state laws cannot override or contradict the Constitution. Right?
Period. Yeah, period. There's no leeway here. If that's the law, that's the law. And we all know that it's Supremacy Clause, Articles of Confederation, Bill of Rights, Constitution.
No, Articles of Confederation are not this government.
Well, yeah, okay. Whatever. You know what I'm saying. Everything that is the Constitution is protected by the Supremacy Clause, which means every other thing that's ever put on the books as a law has to bow down to the Constitution and to every single one of our rights. Period. There's no negotiation here, people. Okay? This is what it is. This is live fire, man. This is what it is.
It's the triple threat. We got Supremacy Clause. Judges are bound to the laws of the United States, notwithstanding any state laws. And then 2, we've got 10th Amendment restriction on state laws. If it's in the jurisdiction of the federal law, things like freedom of press, right to guns, not to quarter troops, right to be secure unless they have a warrant. Warrant needs to be signed by a judge based on a sworn complaint, a sworn statement of damages. Okay, so because there's the 3, where it's just like, bro, in good faith, how can you try and say that this law applies to me? Where all of these federal sources, and then if you want to go to case precedent, we can. Marbury v. Madison. Anything repugnant to the Constitution is null and void.
Yep.
So let's continue. Charge against me under 162.247, interfering with a peace officer, is legally unfounded. According to the statute, a person commits this offense if they knowingly obstruct, impair, or hinder the enforcement of the law or the preservation of the peace by a peace officer, which is just essentially they're saying that that a cop gets to decide whatever law he wants. Okay. He gets to figure out what the law is. He's the determiner of the law, right? Or the preservation of the peace by a peace officer. However, the statute specifically exempts passive resistance as a basis for this charge. Now, that's not the only reason to have the charge dismissed.
No, of course not.
Not even close. It's unconstitutional, but if we pretend like the law exists, then even under this law, my actions only constitute passive resistance. Verbal challenges and the lawful order for the officer to cease creating a disturbance do not meet the criteria, or criterion, I think, for interference. They were forms of passive resistance and lawful expressions of my rights, thereby exempting me from prosecution under this statute. And that's really getting to the meat of it. Due process violations. The manner in which this case has been handled is fraught with due process violations. I was not provided with a warrant establishing police powers. The charges against me lack legal basis, and the officers involved refused to perform their lawful duties. Regardless of what they want to claim, I did place the man under a private person's arrest. And I reported it to a law enforcement officer, thereby transferring custody to him. So now he's no longer... people like to say that cops have, what do they call it? Prerogative or something? They have, judgment in what happens. They have what do they like
Yeah.
to say?
Discretion.
Discretion. That's it.
Yeah, they don't have discretion.
The law
No,
is
they don't.
equal
No.
protection under the law, and the cop's job is to enforce warrants. So if he's got a warrant that says seize this man, his options are to do it or essentially to go to his boss and say, I'm not going to do this, and they're going to come up with some administrative response, or they'll fire him or something like that. Okay, deprive me of my right to a fair legal process as guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. Chilling effect on reporting crimes. This case sets a dangerous precedent where individuals may be deterred from reporting of crimes committed by police officers due to fear of retaliation, which, guys, that's huge because cops commit crimes on every single call, I think. I'm not 100% sure about it, but in my experience, they're going to at least try to commit some sort of crime. If I had known that filing a criminal complaint would result in false accusations against me, I would have been hesitant to report the officer's misconduct. Now, why are they false accusations? I'm being accused of an act. Okay?
Right.
We don't have the citation in this document, it doesn't look like. But I'm being accused of an act. And speech is not an act. Okay?
Right. Yeah, it's protected, period. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah. These people they're doing what they typically do, which is double down. And when that doesn't work, who knows what they'll try next. But, once you got them on a federal case, they should know better. But,
they're unable to talk without creating a crime. That's what I've noticed since I started doing this.
Because they don't know the law or they don't care
at all. Yeah, they're so misinformed. They're just so confused about their authority. They don't believe that they're servants at all. They're completely in denial of the fact. Okay, so this chilling effect undermines the justice system and discourage. It really does. It's the just us.
Absolutely.
System at this point.
Does. Yeah.
Where getting convicted of a crime, all that really means is that you're not friends with the judge or something. That's all it means. It doesn't mean anything these days. I mean, having a charge, it's basically meaningless, just like with Chili, where we watched him get convicted on, I didn't know this, I didn't know that, I didn't know this. Okay, sounds like he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That's an elected judge. So, it's the same in every court all across the country. And it's really that no one's holding them to actual laws. Just like how my judge thought he could stop me from filming because of some Oregon judicial rule. Bro, that applies to him. That means the judge can't film. Not me. It has nothing to do with me. And at some point, these guys need to realize that their claims need to be backed up by something. I mean, basically, these charging documents, I feel like the DA's office is basically like, I think they're probably inbred. I think their parents were traitors and that now they're traitors. And same with the judges and the cops and stuff. It's just that their parents were scumbag traitors. They went off to World War II and came back and pretended like they did something for everybody because they joined socialism, because they took part in the government's bullshit. It's like, guys, stay the hell out of that shit. Oh, we had to go to war because they attacked us, except for that we had warning. And so now it just becomes a plot to increase leftism, which is any government spending. So when you increase socialism to fight whatever, communism, that doesn't work. So
no, not at all.
Participation by the district attorney's office to take any part in this when it doesn't even meet the statute's own text seems indicative of prosecutorial misconduct or malicious prosecution. Conclusion: in light of the numerous constitutional violations, misuse of legal authority, and failure to adhere to both state and federal laws, and seemingly malicious misuse of the statute, I respectfully request that the court dismiss the charges against me with prejudice. This case exemplifies the dangers of unchecked police power, where they show up and they just say, reasonable, we get to do anything we fucking want, anything. Guys, they literally delete people based on reasonable. Okay? And are all of them reasonable? No, we found that out, obviously. So it's a judge that determines reasonable. It's the separation of powers. So, and the need for strict adherence to legal standards to protect the right of all citizens. This is the whole reason we have checks and balances, so that this event cannot ever occur. Literally, our entire law was designed so that this never occur. But it only works if you've got competent human beings behind the wheel. So someone has allowed it to occur in this jurisdiction. I'm flatly accusing the judge, obviously. I request that this honorable court dismiss the charges against me with prejudice, recognize the violations of constitutional state laws that have occurred, take appropriate actions to address the misconduct by the officers and DAs involved. Both.
Yeah, because they're all co-conspirators. They're all in on it. Of course they are. Of course they are.
I'm just going to explain this one because this is let's see. Oh, no. This is the one I want to talk about. Okay. All right. Criminal complaint against officers from Ontario Police Department, Oregon State Police, and Malheur County District Attorney's Office. This is now a criminal complaint. Now we're talking criminal complaint. Okay? To the appropriate law enforcement agency, I hereby file this criminal complaint against officers from the Ontario Police Department and an officer from the Oregon State Police and members of the Malheur County District Attorney's Office involved in an incident that occurred on July 16 in front of my residence. This complaint is based on the officer's unlawful actions, including misuse of emergency lights, unlawful seizure of a person without a warrant, and failure to honor a private person's arrest, as well as the district attorney's subsequent actions, which further violated my rights. These actions have caused me harm and violated my rights under both state and federal law. This is a state of Oregon criminal complaint. And guys, all I'm going to do is feed this into ChatGPT and tell it to write me a federal criminal complaint. And guys, what's the difference going to be? Well, these are state laws. Okay. A battery is a state law. Things like violation of my First Amendment or whatever, that's a federal criminal complaint. So
yeah, it's a federal case.
So a little bit different. You always have to really just file both. You don't want to report things to the cops that are federal because you're going to be reporting them to the feds specifically, so you want to keep it within what their jurisdiction is if you can.
Exactly. Donald here says, next, the prosecution rests until the next whore is found. That's perfect, man. They are harlots, man. The prostitution and these judges, even the pigs, man, the cops, they're all a bunch of fucking whores. And they work for us, so it's our fault for not, keeping our hose in check. All right, man, go ahead.
I observed officers from the Ontario Police Department and an officer from the Oregon State Police engaged in a series of actions that were not only unlawful but also created a significant disturbance in my neighborhood. Misuse of emergency lights. The first officer from the Ontario Police Department improperly activated emergency lights, creating unwarranted alarm and blocking the driveways of tenants. ORS 820.320 restricts the use of emergency lights to actual emergencies, which was not the case here. So, guys, not using a blinker, is that an emergency? No, of course not.
No. Is not having a seatbelt on an emergency? No. Is window tint an emergency? Only if the cops shoot you, and then it becomes an emergency.
Right. How about going 5 over, 10 over?
Yeah. None of those
the
things
cops pit you, then it will be an emergency, certainly.
Right, exactly, because, man, yeah. Like, we're going to give, powers of determination to people that can barely even drive safely, who don't really have enough sense to know that when it's 4:00 in the afternoon in downtown LA, that you're not going to get through an intersection by going in the wrong direction, at 60 or 70 or 80 or 100 miles an hour. Even if your fucking lights are on, you're not getting through there. You're getting hit. That's all there is to it. If they can't make those kind of decisions rationally and logically, then they can't make decisions about who's going to get arrested. They can't make decisions about that.
Yeah.
They just can't. We got to stop allowing these fucking stupid pigs to be able to make decisions. They're not qualified to push a goddamn broom to proper effect.
And then when they do make a decision, then you're pointing out that it's the judiciary that needs to be making determinations. It's the judiciary. It's checks and balances, so that you're not just dealing with one psychopath that wants to attack you and take your car and take you to jail and take your property and do whatever with your wife. It's that you're dealing with checks and balances. And that check is that judges determine probable cause. So, okay, let's get back to this, which was not the case here. Misuse of these lights was an abuse of power and an act that unnecessarily escalated the situation. Unlawful he created the entire situation.
Right, yeah. Nobody else did. He created the mayhem, just like the pigs always do. They're always doing that. I mean, they do it every single fucking day.
Yeah,
they cause accidents by pulling people over on the freeway.
Oh, all the time.
You know, they should teach everybody that has a fucking driver's license to get off at the next exit and then pull over. That should be the law. If you got a warrant and you're going to pull me over, how about if we don't stop on the side of the fucking freeway? How about if we don't do that? Where we got, 6,000-pound missiles flying by at 75, 80 miles an hour. No, thank you. I'm good. I don't want to be stopped. I want to be moving in the same direction as those people.
Well, and you've got a right to be secure. Unless they have a warrant. So
yeah, have some paper, bro.
And that's where this next point comes in. Unlawful seizure. The officer seized a man in front of my house without a warrant. A clear violation of the Fourth Amendment of the United States. Oh, no. It says reasonable. It says reasonable. Guys, why don't you just rewrite your Constitution the way you want it? Cops can do anything they call reasonable. Okay? Write it like that. Change the Fourth Amendment so that it says that, and let's see if anybody agrees to it. No, we've got it the way it is because it's a way that people would agree, which is why we went from 13 colonies to 50. So,
Yep.
I asked for a warrant. Despite my repeated inquiries, the officers failed to produce a warrant, and their actions constitute an illegal seizure. The Fourth Amendment protects individuals against unreasonable searches and seizures, requiring that any action be supported by probable cause and a warrant issued by a judge. Failure to honor private person's arrest. During the incident, I lawfully attempted to place the officer under private person's arrest for disorderly conduct based on his actions that were creating a disturbance in my neighborhood. However, the state police officer refused to comply with the arrest, which is a violation of Oregon law regarding the right of citizens to make an arrest when a crime is committed in their presence. This refusal to honor the private person's arrest is a clear violation of 133.225. Disorderly conduct, ORS 166.025. The actions of these officers amounted to disorderly conduct under 166.1025, which defines the offense as a person engaging in behavior with the intent to cause public inconvenience. He stopped a person. I mean, how else can you describe that but public inconvenience? Stop.
Yeah, it's right. It's an inconvenience. Yep.
Annoyance. Yep. Alarm. So he used an emergency light. Is that alarm? Of course it is. He's saying there's an emergency.
Yeah, he's annoying because he did it right there and he blocked your driveway and the next door neighbor's driveway. That's annoyance.
Or recklessly creating a risk thereof. The officer's misuse of emergency lights, unlawful seizure, and refusal to honor a private person's arrest all meet the criterion. Specifically, 166.025 1B states that a person commits disorderly conduct if they make unreasonable noise or create a hazardous or physical offensive condition with no legitimate purpose, which applies to the officer's actions during this incident.
That's great, man. I love it.
Following the incident, the Malheur County District Attorney's Office combated the harm caused by the officers through their actions. Failure to address misconduct. District Attorney's Office failed to properly address the criminal misconduct by the officers. Guys, there's a video, there's body cam of this, there's sworn statements. Guys, somebody's sworn oaths to these statements. So if they're wrong, then they need to go to jail. And since my conduct didn't even meet the statute, it seems pretty indicative somebody lied. Despite being presented with evidence of their unlawful actions, this neglect of duty combines to a culture of impunity within law enforcement and undermines public trust. Retaliation and abusive process. Instead of pursuing justice for the criminal acts committed by the officers, the district attorney's office retaliated against me by using my lawful report of the officer's misconduct as a basis to accuse me of a crime. Guys, I literally arrested a cop and got charged for arresting that cop. So is that equal protection of the law or anything? No.
No, it's not even remotely
you know
close.
What that is? It's exact definition for fascism. It's an unequal application of the law. It's the law is only used against the people you want to use it against. You know?
Yeah. And they do it constantly. They do it all the time, man. Somebody assaults an auditor, the cops ain't going to arrest them. Very rarely will they ever arrest somebody that assaults an auditor.
It's the concept that the woman on the bus, what was her name? The woman that said, I'm not going to sit in the front of the bus. I want to, or what was it?
Rosa Parks. Yeah,
Rosa
she
Parks?
wasn't going to go. Yeah, she wasn't going to go to the back of the bus.
The back. Okay. So, and this is what it is that if it was a white person sitting in the back of the bus, that the officers would be like, well, slumming, huh? What are you up to, right? It's the same type of thing where it's like there's a law here and people are supposed to be on their side, but it's only going to apply to one side, you know. It only applied to Rosa Parks and her people. It didn't apply to, you know, if a white wanted to break it, you know, they'd just be like, well, whatever, right? So this abusive process not only violates my rights, but also creates a chilling effect on others who might consider reporting crimes committed by law enforcement, which that's everyone that deals with these guys. Anyone that's thinking about these, about their conduct is going to start realizing like, hey, wait, everything they did here was a crime. I asked them to leave my house. They refused. They created a disturbance and then they blamed me for it. Like, you know, everything they do is a crime. So that's a lot of people we're talking about. We're essentially talking about the 90% being suppressed by the 10%.
Right.
Or less. It's like, there's 1 million cops in America and there's 350 million people. So that's 1 in 350 people is a cop. So that's not very many cops. So 1 in 350 versus everybody else, basically, plus the judges and the lawyers. But basically, that's what they're doing. Okay. Legal violations. The officers and members of the district attorney's office involved in this incident have committed the following legal violations. Official misconduct, 162.415. The officers' actions constitute official misconduct as they knowingly performed unauthorized acts in their official capacity. All they can do is what the warrant says. So anything else is just, they know what they're doing. And then they failed to perform duties imposed by law. Their misuse of emergency lights, failure to honor a lawful private person's arrest, and unlawful seizure of a person without a warrant are all acts of misconduct that warrant criminal investigation and prosecution. Violation of Fourth Amendment rights. The officer's unlawful seizure of a man without a warrant is a direct violation of the Fourth Amendment. Protects individuals from unreasonable searches and seizures. The officer's actions were not supported by probable cause or a warrant, and thus constitute a criminal violation of constitutional rights. Violation of ORS 820.320. The officer's misuse of emergency lights without a legitimate emergency constitutes a violation. This action necessarily escalated the situation and created an unwarranted disturbance in my neighborhood. Failure to honor private person's arrest. Now remember, this is sounding the same because this is the criminal complaint.
Right.
Versus that other thing was the motion to dismiss based on, you know, I was arresting this man and that, okay, so that's why it sounds similar. The officer refused to comply with lawful private person's arrest in violation of 133.225, which grants citizens the authority to arrest someone committing a crime in their presence. The officer's actions demonstrate a disregard for Oregon law and the rights of citizens. Disorderly conduct, ORS 166.025. Officers' actions meet the criteria for disorderly conduct as they intentionally or recklessly cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm without a legitimate purpose. Abuse of process and retaliation. District Attorney's Office abuses its authority by retaliating against me for lawfully reporting the officer's misconduct. This abusive process not only violated my rights, but also contributes to criminal conspiracy to cover up the officer's illegal actions. Harm caused. Remember how I talk about this? It's the injured complainant. Well,
and the injuries.
Why is ChatGPT listing these injuries if they're so irrelevant? As a result of the officers and the district attorney's officer actions, I have suffered significant harm, including, hold on, I gotta get a drink, emotional distress caused by the officer's threats and unlawful actions. Remember, guys, he showed up at my house and started threatening me when I asked him if he had a right. I asked him if he had a right to beat. Bro, I didn't just say, F you, and you're the worst, stupid. And it's just like, dude, I'm a man on the land. And it's like, dude, as a man to another man, am I doing anything to you? No, I didn't do any of that crap. I just asked him if he had a right to do what he was doing. And they charged me with a crime. Okay?
Yeah, of course.
Damage to my reputation as a result of the baseless charges brought against me. Guys, I get comments all the time about how they hate me and I'm should go to prison because why would you ever interfere with whatever a cop is doing? They get to do anything they want. That's the king. That's what these people believe. They believe in sovereign servants. The sovereign servant movement is what these people are a part of. Chilling effect on my willingness to report crimes, particularly those committed by law enforcement officers due to fear of retaliation and being falsely accused of a crime. Possible bail revocation, which could amount to kidnapping and imprisonment. Remember, there's never been a lawful warrant for me. So it's all just
it's all
crime.
It's all just crimes. Yeah, it's all crimes. Crimes on top of crimes on top of crimes on top of crimes.
Yep.
And then, in order to get back at you for pointing out that they were committing crimes, they commit a dozen more crimes against you.
Crimes and commit more. Right.
Yeah, they commit more crimes.
Bro, talk about the most useless
sanity?
justice system you could possibly imagine. Bro, this is it. There is no further down from here. We're there.
Right. Yeah.
We're at rock bottom right now.
Yeah, we're done.
All right, and we're almost done with this too. So I respectfully request that a thorough investigation be conducted into the actions of the officers and the members of the district attorney's office involved in this incident. I also request that appropriate criminal charges be filed against these individuals for their misconduct and violations of the law. It is essential that law enforcement officers and public officials be held accountable for their actions. Guys, not even to our standard. They need to be held to a higher standard. Guys,
Absolutely.
Is ignorance of the law an excuse?
Not according to them, it's not.
If it isn't for us, should it be for people that literally get their paychecks for enforcing the law? Yeah, right. Actions to ensure that such abuses of power do not continue to occur. This incident is a clear example of law enforcement and public officials overstepping their bounds and engaging in actions that violate the rights of individuals. I trust that the district attorney's office will take this complaint seriously. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. A different district attorney will say. All right, so that's 3 solid pages, of just
right.
You guys are idiots committing crime. So that was a criminal complaint against the officer that pulled someone over in front of my house. I filed that with the state police already. Okay, but not that document. I filed on the scene in verbally.
Sure, yeah.
And then he refused me equal protection under the law, which I'm guaranteed equal protection under the law. If someone commits a crime against me or in my neighborhood and creates a disturbance here, it's that I have rights. This public street doesn't mean their street. It means my street. So this here is 10 pages total. Let me just scroll through this. If you want to pause it and read it, you can, but I'm just going to explain it to you. This is all of the videos that I've done. What you might consider my audits. They're not audits. I'm just doing my regular business. And these people will violate you every single time you're doing anything. So because of that, I've come up with, I mean, look at all of these different violations for just one thing after another. It's 10 pages, 7 different incidents. I'm filing criminal charges against every officer basically from all of my videos. It's that every time they
Nice.
show up, essentially, every single time they show up, they're going to start pretending like they're in charge. They're going to start making up laws. And just like the sheriff, that's Travis Johnson, and the chief of police, Michael Y., they will violate your right to seek redress of your grievances with your government in every single possible way imaginable. Every single time they show up, it's literally without exception. It's that if they show up, that's exactly what they will be doing, is violating your rights. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that figures. That figures. Yeah, and it's not surprising. It's not surprising either. All right, look.
So I filed both of those criminal complaints with the court when I went. And so you're like, what? That's not a motion. No, it's that I'm putting it into the records for this case so that when they illegally charge me with contempt or, violate their oaths and throw me in jail or something like that, it's that, I can't even write. I certainly couldn't write this. I need the computer and I need to be able to talk to the computer and all that stuff to get this shit in. So this is going to be part of the case so that if they put me in prison for 10 years, it's that I've already got this document saying all of these crimes. Okay, so that's not even all of them, bro. That's 7 or 8 incidents. 7, I think. And I've got several more. But that one did include the incident at the farmer's market. And then that separate one, the one that I read, that one's specific to the incident that I'm being charged for disrupting a peace officer.
Yeah, where you did nothing. You weren't even like right all up in his grill either. You were
No,
pretty
all
far
I did
away.
is talk. I do have a video about court. I did go in and I did film, and then the judge did say that he was going to hold me in contempt, or I think that's how he said it, if I don't turn off the camera. And I asked him if he's saying that I don't have an inalienable right to the freedom of press. And I also told him about the document, which he's not impressed with the document. He says that a judicial rule or some shit overrides the Constitution. Like, bro, these people are so poorly educated that I don't even know what to... I mean, I told him about Article 6, but it's like, dude, if you can't read and if you don't have a background... How can you be a
fucking judge? Yeah, how can you be a fucking judge if you don't know how to read something critically?
I wonder about that, because now it's both of them that have both committed the same crime, even after being told it was a crime. Like, what in the world? Being put on notice in a writing where you're listing all the laws. I mean, dude, the thing is, when you're talking about, like, zero is zero potential. There's none. And so no matter what you're talking about or no matter what is happening, it's a tough thing. But he did violate my rights in court. He essentially, they arraigned me, which is meaningless for us. It's meaningful to them that they got us to admit that we were actually being charged with a crime or something stupid like that. Which I don't agree to that. I haven't been accused of a crime by anyone. In the end of the day, I arrested somebody. Like, you got to kind of think of our laws, like, what would it be if Kennedy went out there and actually forced these laws that he's saying? Oh, well, he'd get deleted, right? Certainly. But say that didn't happen, right? Say I went out there and I said, no, you're under arrest, and I grab him like a UFC guy and I arrest him and drag him to the judge. Then what's the judge going to say then? Oh, well, no, I can't hear you. I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, stick his fingers in his ears and go, la, 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 la. That's what they're going to do because they're all a bunch of fucking children. You know what you should do, man, is look into these two judges. Look into this newest judge.
Well, I've already got crimes
where...
on both of them. So now I'm thinking about requesting a change of venue since they've committed crimes against me.
Yeah.
Plus, I've got
absolutely
30 arrests or something on public servants in the venue. Sorry, did I interrupt? Go ahead.
No, man. I'm just saying, that change of venue, that I was thinking that more than a week ago.
Yeah.
Like
that's
these
why
people
I'm
are insane.
From your idea.
Yeah. Yeah, these people are insane. No, it was your idea.
No,
you thought it
did
up.
I?
Yeah. We
I
both
have a
thought
lot
of
of shit in my head, but I always need somebody to kind of say the right thing to kind of bring it up.
Well, I was just thinking, change of venue, man, because what happens then is the previous judge, there are laws and rules that apply to them. Like they can't just call up the judge that the case gets, changed to and say, well, this, that, and the other, because we know how the fuck they are, but they're not allowed to do that shit. They're not allowed to do that shit when you're talking change of venue for at least a certain amount of time.
To me, it seems like that's a partial appeal. It's that you're getting new eyes on
absolutely.
it. And now when these people have already shown a willingness to violate supremacy clause, because that's what this judge did when he said to turn off my camera. It's that I was actually testing the waters, and now we know that the man's an unconstitutional man. He doesn't honor his oath. He took an oath to the First Amendment. He's bound to it under Article 6. And now he's trying to tell me about some judicial rule. That applies to you,
he's an idiot.
Not me.
He's obviously an idiot. He's a moron. Check into his background. See where he came from. What was he doing before he was a fucking judge? I'll bet you he was a cop.
Well, no,
because he seems
it's usually
stupid.
A prosecutor or a defense attorney. Usually.
Yeah, not if they're elected. Not if they're elected, man.
I don't know how it works if they're elected. Yeah, it seems like the voters declare him a judge if they elect him, regardless of any qualifications.
Something like that. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's insane. It really is insanity. But, it's definitely not conservative. That is not a conservative way of doing things.
Which is wrong because our law is conservative. It's the United States of America. No. It is conservative. And that's why the cops can't search you and seize you and they can't question you. You have a right to speak or to stay silent. You have a right to redress grievances with your government. It's because all of that points to small government. And when our Constitution was written, it was a tiny government where there would be like a government agent in town. Not like today, where it's like when you're driving to court, you pass fucking 5 cops. Dude, I've arrested so many cops, and guess what? It's basically always new cops every time. Where it's just like an endless supply of socialists. It's literally like 30% of the workforce, I heard. I don't know how to get a good number on it either, but that's what I heard, and I think that's true. But that's not 30% of our money, guys. That 30% is taking up 10 times the value that we are, because they're transporting tanks across the ocean and stuff. Obviously, right? You don't do that.
Right.
So, yeah, as soon as we constrict and restrict our government, and it's not going to happen by voting for the red hat guy. No way. You're going to have a guy that actually understands that right on the video means conservative. It means small government. Small. So on the furthest of right is anarchy. Bro, I had this Canadian telling me that North Korea, China, and Russia were all right wing. It's like, dude, what? You think the communists are anarchists?
Jesus Christ,
no, dude,
man.
They're totalitarianisms. It's the exact opposite of what you believe. Oh, he told me all sorts of dumb shit. He's the one that was telling me about socialized education, medicine being so great. And I was like, no, dude, it's not great. It's every bit as good as your socialized education, which makes you think that communist China is a right wing. No, but all the evil in the world is leftist.
All of it.
All of it.
Every
It's
single
that
bit of
you're
it.
saying-
even if it calls itself right wing and has a
Like the
Republican in
drug
front of its
war
name.
takes the Republicans and it says, we're Republicans, we're conservative, we believe in the drug war. No. Small government demands that you believe in legalization of everything, which it needs to be. People make their choices anyway. There's ecstasy and all sorts of shit out there. So why are you trying to pretend like your drug war even works?
Yeah, it's a failure. It's an industry. It's a fucking industry.
Right.
It's a socialist production system.
The
you
whole
grab
point
people,
of
you throw
socialism.
them in prison. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
funneling money from the taxpayer to the worthless piece of
socialist.
shit. To the socialist.
Yeah, to the socialist who can't do a fucking thing, so he wanders around in an office with a handful of papers pretending that he's doing something all day.
And then,
While he's
as soon
committing
as someone
crimes.
shows up, then he's out there to be like, you're creating a disturbance. I'm going to have to ask
I'm
you to
going to
leave.
call the cops, and I'm in charge of this place.
This is
and
my
you're out-
building. This is my
Yeah,
building.
I'm just asking you to please turn off your camera. How about if you just please go fuck
You know,
yourself?
if they would realize
God.
they were trained to say things like, I'm just going to ask you to please do this and that. They were trained that way because they don't have a right to make people do it.
Right, yeah.
But they're so
they get-
stupid at this point that they think that their ask is now a lawful order. No,
Yeah,
dude, you're totally missing the point. All right, sounds good. Let's do it. Let's cut it off.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
It was a good show, man. Thanks
Put
for
a
coming.
comment down below, but to tell you the truth, any idiots that didn't make it to the end, their comments are just going to clog up everything anyway.
They're not gonna
gonna have a
yeah.
point. Go down below and just point out to him like, hey, why can't you, if he's so wrong, then why can't you say you're violating this law? Well, guys, it's because anything they want to cite against me is going to be like case precedent, policy, and so that's why they can't ever come up with an actual point, because they'll get crushed, you know. Which
Yeah, and they know it. They know it.
I want to help people to get out of their nonsense. And that's why I crush them. Because I'm just going to point it out like, bro, Supreme Court doesn't make laws. 5th grade social studies. Get out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah, it's literally social studies. It's the very first time they ever teach you anything. At least that was my experience. You know,
Didn't they talk
talk
about separation of powers about 1,000,000 times and no one
yeah,
thinks
fuck
it
yes,
exists?
of course, and it never stops. But the problem is, like you said, we let them get used to thinking that the dog walks the human instead of the other way around.
Exactly.
You know?
Great analogy. I have
Right.
dogs, and it's that mindset where when you're training your dog and you're walking with them, bro, you got to kind of tap them on the shoulder and be like, bro, back up. You're not leading
Yeah,
us
right,
around.
exactly.
And you'll
Yeah,
see
this
these
is-
people
yeah.
walking their dog all the time, getting drug around by their dog. And that's
Right.
totally wrong. You got to tell them like, bro, come on, man. I'm in charge around
Yep.
here. I got to see what's going on. If something needs done, I'm the one doing it. You don't do shit. You are just here to walk, you know? And that's what it is
Yep.
with the servant. Great analogy, bro. Appreciate you, man. That's why I love you so much.
All right. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Right back at you. All right, you guys. Subscribe, like, and comment. Probably everybody in here has already done that. But anyway, it was a good show, man. And we'll have to collate
Okay.
and talk about some things in a couple days, man, for sure. All right. Love you guys.